Hello everybody and welcome to Gamer Couch. Let's talk about Sword and Shield because this weapon is insane. So I know there are a lot of guides already out there, but when I picked up the weapon first I was kind of overwhelmed by what you can actually do with this weapon. The moveset isn't that small and the variations and combinations are huge. After looking at everything the Sword and Shield had to offer, I went into my first fight. And what can I say? I was lost. I didn't really feel like I knew what to do. So I broke down the important things that I could recommend to you to go into a fight. Like this, it's possible for you to beat every tempered monster. So my intention is not to just copy a guide. Instead, I would like to give you a playstyle you can easily pick up yourself and don't feel overwhelmed like I did. Plus, let me tell you this. This weapon is the easiest guard machine ever. So let's jump right in. Guarding with the Sword and Shield is the easiest thing ever. If you press and hold R2, you will guard. You can get a perfect guard if you hit R2 just before the attack hits you. This has one disadvantage though. If you would press R2 too late, you would get hit and knocked back. But getting those perfect guards is what we really want with a Sword and Shield. Hitting the perfect guard gives you the specific sound. So in order to get those perfect guards, it's necessary to hit those timings again. If you miss the timing, you get knocked back. So maybe you're done with always trying to hit specific timings. Then let me tell you this, here's where it gets really easy with Sword and Shield. If you just hold R2 and then press circle, you do a guard slash. This is actually huge, because you can just guard and guard slash right before the attack hits. If you manage the timing, you get a perfect guard. This is a huge advantage, simply because if you don't hit the timing, you don't get knocked back because you're still guarding. So no matter if you hit the timing or not, you will always guard. There's actually no easier way than guarding like this. I wouldn't say there's a real punishment if you don't hit the timing. And it also kind of takes away the pressure of hitting the timing. Plus, actually hitting the timing is not that hard. This makes you a guard machine. Time to practice, of course. Here's what I did to get used to the timing. Once again, I picked a poor Doshaguma, and all I did is hold R2, and whenever the attacks come in, I press circle and try to hit the right moment. Try to hit circle right before the attack comes in. This is actually the easiest practice you can have. And you will notice the difference if you sometimes don't hit the timing like this. You can get used to it all in just several minutes. So I wouldn't say you will stick to this too long before you can go into the next fight. What's very important to know that I didn't mention earlier is that you can actually squeeze in this guard slash in between combos. This benefit makes this technique really strong. But for now, for the first step, you should just practice the guard. I would recommend to you to practice until you manage to get the perfect guards even if the monster is doing combos. I'm absolutely sure you will manage from here on now by yourself. So let's move on to the next point. So now that we know how to be defensive, it's time to talk about the offense. There's a combo you can do with triangle, and there's a combo you can do with circle. Even though the circle combo does more damage, I recommend to you only using the triangle combination. That's because you're very mobile. You can actually move while inputting the triangle button. This is not possible with the circle combo, leaving you stationary. One of the biggest strengths of the Sword and Shield is the mobility. As you can see here, you can actually move around the monster. When monsters do small attacks, it's possible to move around like this. What's really great about the triangle combo, as mentioned earlier, you can squeeze in a guard slash in between at any moment. This takes it to a whole nother level. You can squeeze in a guard and get a perfect guard in between at almost any time. You should try this on your own before moving into a fight with a monster and get used to it. This is very simple to do, so you will manage fast. So all you have to do is, whenever a monster is very active and attacking, use triangle to attack and squeeze in the perfect guards in between with the guard slash. This is how you will mostly attack, to be mobile and flexible at any time. So the next point would be how to attack if there's an open window to get full damage. All we have to do is adjust the triangle combination a little bit. So when there's a time window for you to attack without getting punished, this is what you do. Hit triangle 4 times, following with the triangle and circle for spinning reaper. Immediately after the spinning reaper, do a charge chop by holding down triangle and circle again. This is super easy to do and gives you fast maximum damage. So when a monster is on the ground, exhausted or whatever, this is how you should definitely attack. Use focus mode in order to stay in line with where you want to attack if necessary. In order to get even more mobility out of the sword and shield, you should know about the sliding swipe by pressing R2 and triangle at the same time. You can easily close gaps between monsters like this, or even move around or dodge the attacks by monsters. It has a small iframe window, but I wouldn't depend on it. It's just worth knowing that you can move around even more with the sword and shield. Now, believe it or not, but you can actually beat every monster like this. This is literally everything you need, even though there's much more to the sword and shield, of course. I recommend you to stick to those basics you just learned. Like this, it's even possible to beat every tempered monster in the game. What I did is, I was fighting like this a whole long time, until I got used to the mechanics and everything went into my muscle memory. This playstyle comes naturally and is really easy to handle. So I recommend to you to stick to this for a while until you feel really safe and confident and can beat anything. Like in this case, I'm only using what I just showed you. There's nothing more to it. When you get really safe and everything is going smoothly in your fights, you can obviously, adjust some new moves into it if you want to. Maybe one little thing to mention at least is always make sure to look at the monster from where the attack is coming when trying to guard. This especially counts for monsters like Argwell. I know sometimes it's not easy handling the camera, but that's just something we have to deal with for now. So this is how a fight could look like if you manage the playstyle. Anyway, let's look at the backstab real quick. You can do a backstab while pressing guard and using focus mode, pressing backwards and circle. After that, hold circle to charge and let go to move forward. You will jump up in the air and are able to do something else from here. I mentioned this technique because it's useful to reach wounds that are hard to get, like on the back for instance. You could use a focus strike in the air actually. Sure, if you're pro enough, you could even evade attacks with the backstab. It even has iframes, but yeah, it's not mandatory. The last thing to mention is the perfect rush. You can trigger this by doing a backstab and attacking with triangle. In order to do the perfect rush, you would have to hit the perfect timing on the attacks. That's whenever the sword starts glowing, that's when you hit triangle actually. The reason why I'm not using this in my playstyle is because, like I mentioned, you really would have to hit the timing. in order to get the full damage of the combo. So if you don't hit the timing, it was actually a waste of time. So I'm not saying this combo is dead, but at the beginning it's just not worth trying. You will do better if you just stick to the combination I just showed you earlier. If you later on feel confident and want to mix it up a little bit, you can always try to build in this perfect rush. Other than that, you have everything you need to know. This actually concludes our video for now. Please, as always, consider I'm only doing recommendations. I really try to bring the sword and shield down to the basics, with few things that you can beat every monster with. It was very important to me that you don't feel overwhelmed like I did with the sword and shield. Because of the variations of the sword and shield, there's just so much you can do. I remember my first fight with the sword and shield and all the information I gathered on what combinations and combos and whatever are out there. And when the fight started, I was kind of lost. So that's why I made this, let's say, guide this way, to give you a playstyle you can handle and manage easily. So I hope this helped you in any way. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to leave a comment. Also, I would like to thank you again for supporting me, watching my videos, leaving likes and comments, and everything you do. Thank you so much. To wrap things up, here are some highlights as always. See you next time.